I'm a feminist, but recently I met a doctor at a party and he told me he does cosmetic procedures. And he was gossiping a bit and he said to me that a certain famous A-list celebrity who looks quite done, he said, she tells her friends that she's never had Botox and she says that with a straight face. And I said, well, what choice does she have? And I really enjoyed that moment. I thought that's not very sisterly of me.
I know, but did you
you
make
had
a
to
man
go for
laugh?
the joke. Yeah.
I will always kick my gender under the bus to make a man laugh. Especially one with a doctorate, you know.
I was hoping he'd offer me a free treatment if I was charming enough.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want anything
like
invasive, but just something that's a bit, you know, I like a lifting treatment. You know, something that's like where they pick a fight with your collagen so it gets up and dances.
I love that. You were you were being charming to this person at a party for a cosmetic procedure. It's like someone being charming to someone at a party because they have Coke. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm cool. I'm really chill. I'm a feminist, but I watched Girl Bands Forever the other day. Incredible viewing. It's a documentary about the history of girl bands. At the end of it, though, I was quite sad because there wasn't enough bitching in it for my taste.
They were all too nice about each other.
I thought there'd be more bitching. I just did. I was like, 5 girl bands? Come on.
I'm a feminist, but I've just realised my fly's down.
Beautiful.
There we are. And I'm on camera and it's looking right. Yeah, excellent.
Clip it, Tom.
Excellent. I'm a feminist.
Yeah.
I'm a feminist. But this morning I woke up from a dream, this is true, in which I was with a bunch of female friends and I was saying, Alexa, sync all our periods so we're clear for the fight.
Beautiful.
And I woke up in a sweat going, oh my God, I was using AI to fuck up the patriarchy. And if so, how did I think Alexa would sync our periods? And it begs the question, do we want to be clear of our periods for the fight? Or are we better off being premenstrual together? A premenstrual army, has anyone ever thought of that?
I know, but if you're menstrual, you know, you got inbuilt grenades. Throw it at them. No?
I was thinking of the week.
Oh, I was thinking.
I was imagining the week where I
was thinking of pulling out my tampon and throwing it at someone. I was thinking.
I don't think that's what the dream was about. I think it was more about, can we have the good week, the one good week of the month?
Yeah.
Can we be synced on that for the fight? But then I realised premenstrual's better, or perhaps your army could be menstrual. We all need to work in coalition.
Beautiful.
I won't be in your army. I will
I'll
certainly be in coalition with you.
I'll be going around with war paint, baby. That would scare the shit out of the white nationalists, wouldn't it? A lot of
wouldn't draw them in.
traditional men. You just walk up with menstruation on your face. They would shit themselves. Anyway, I'm a. Okay, actually, here. I'm a feminist, right? But after an exercise class, I was texting my friend. And I was saying I'm really happy. I'm full of endo, and I was typing endorphins, but my phone thought I was gonna say endometriosis, and I was like, oh, what a sad phone that I must have typed more times. I'm filled with endometriosis than I'm filled with endorphins, and that's sad.
It is, but
Yeah.
I've got nothing. It is. It's just sad. It is. I was trying to find a redeeming feature by saying, you know, you'll relate to so many people who have it.
Yeah.
So there's that. I've got nothing for you, Alison.
I know, but I'm just so sad that I've typed in more times endometriosis
than endorphins. Yeah,
endorphins seem to be a good thing.
Yes, endorphins are a really good thing.
Yeah.
But how about this? You need endorphins to fight the fact that you've got endometriosis. They're the two ends fighting each other.
Nice. Yeah. Let's do it.
Great.
Okay.
I'm a feminist,
Yeah.
but I got seduced into doing my colours online, always having mocked this in the past.
What are your colours?
And discovered I was a deep winter, and that's why I'm wearing a mulberry top. And honestly, I wish I'd done it years ago. It really is true. It lifts you no end. I found out what colours don't suit me, and I am. It's absolutely right. All I had to do was put my photo in an app, which I had to pay for, but there was a 7-day free trial. So as soon as I'd had the colours done, I cancelled it immediately. So I paid nothing for this look.
Amazing.
You'll be amazed. It works.
So you've been diagnosed with ADHD and a deep winter. This is beautiful.
Exactly. I've got a deep winter, but mulberry and navy are the things that are meant to look good on me. So you'll be seeing a lot of mulberry. I would look good in your hair.
Would you look good in my hair? That is the creepiest thing anyone's ever said to me.
I don't know what to tell you. If you have it by the end of the evening, I wouldn't sleep near me.
Really?
Yeah, because I could use that as little clip-ins.
Nice. I wouldn't sleep near me. I got sleep apnea, so I would just worry you.
I'm a feminist, but I've never admitted this before, but years ago someone was really mean to me and she'd just grown her hair out really, really long. And I used to have these fantasies of cutting it off while she was asleep because she was so horrible to me.
Wow.
I never did it, obviously.
Yeah.
That sounds like I did now, and I promise you I didn't. I didn't do it.
Okay, Delilah.
But I used to fantasize about it. Because I couldn't think about punching someone because I'm not violent. But I imagine cutting off her hair, which is sort of girl violence, isn't it?
That is girl violence. And there's a lot of girl violence going on every day in the hairdressers. Like, do you think if you're a hairdresser, if you're really just frustrated one day, you're like, I'm going to fuck up this hair? You know?
I mean, it must have happened that someone was rude. Someone was rude to someone and they just went, I'm just going to hack it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crying at hairdressers. Have you ever cried at the hairdressers?
Yes, all the time, especially...
All the time?
Yeah, because I meet them every few months and they ask me how my life is, and then I'm like, it hasn't gone as well as you think it should.
Oh, no, I don't just mean breaking down at the hairdressers. Right, I mean because of a haircut.
Oh, no, I'm a big, deep and meaningful. If you touch my scalp, I'll tell you my secrets. You know, I sing like a canary. Absolutely. There's a lot of people I tell my secrets to. People in nightclub toilets.
Everyone does that.
Yeah, I leave my secrets like Horcruxes, just, buried deep within the 6 corners of the UK.
Do you worry about having a profile as a comedian, though, that someone will go, I swear Alison Spittle standing just told me about, her love life or something like that, or you just think... But
then they'd have to explain who I am. Like, it would have to be like, I met a stand-up comedian once. They're on a podcast. It's a feminist podcast. Yeah. And they're on in Soho. So just Google them there. She's really sad at the moment. There's something not right. That's what it would have to be.
Live from the Pleasance in London, the Spontaneity Shop presents the Guilty Feminist with me, Deborah Frances-White, guest host Alison Spittle, and very special guest Chiara Capraro from Amnesty International, talking about fight back for gender justice. Hello, and welcome. Welcome to our second ever sold out Road to Gilead show under the Guilty Feminist banner. Please welcome, because this is the beginning of something really exciting and really special, and you're here! Now this show's been sold out for a while and people have been trying to get in and I haven't been able to get them in. So just give us a cheer if you listen to the Guilty Feminist. Thank you. So I'm going to explain what the Road to Gilead is. Let me do it this way. I've prepared something. Now, the night before last, I did a proper speech about it, but I thought, well, you're not going to hear that for a while till it comes out, but I can't have the same speech go out on the podcast because the podcast listeners will go, I've already heard this. So I've written a sort of different speech about what the Road to Gilead is, which is a mission. I'm going to have to write 6 different speeches about what the Road to Gilead is. So stay with me as I give you the second in a series of 6 speeches saying exactly the same thing in different words. All right. Okay, so what is the Road to Gilead? Well, you all know Gilead in The Handmaid's Tale. That's a pop culture shorthand for where I think we're headed. And I don't want to go there because I can't have babies, so best case scenario, I'm a wife. But I think we all know I'll be given a brown dress and a whistle and we'll be put on aunt duty. It's quite clear. Look at me, I'm aunt. Either way, I'll be right up there in May Day, smuggling handmaids onto a series of light aircraft, shouting, "Fuck the commanders!" And this used to be a joke, but it's getting increasingly less ironic. We are watching the USA government decimate abortion rights, run trans people out of the military and name them a terror group, threaten same-sex marriage, just fully kidnap brown people, throw them into vans, no one knows where they've gone, erase the history of black people being enslaved, and now deny the most vulnerable in its own population food stamps for no reason except to spite Democrats who've resisted Americans losing their life-saving healthcare subsidies. We are watching this as Reform UK, led by Nigel Farage, now leading in the polls. Now we know he has documented links with the Alliance Defending Freedom due to an expose in the New York Times. Some of you may not know what the ADF is. It's a conservative Christian legal outfit with $100 million a year budget who were very instrumental in overturning Roe versus Wade, which meant that now women don't have federal right to an abortion. $1.35 million a year is now the ADF's budget for the United Kingdom. That's a lot of money to spend on a country that's not theirs, isn't it? That feels like too much money to be comfortable. The same article also says that Nigel Farage has occasionally cited a need for the UK to return to Judeo-Christian values. In the UK, young men aged 18 to 24 spend an average of 5 hours and 28 minutes online a day, though some reports show this figure can be as high as 7 hours a day. That's a full-time job. This time is spent across various devices and activities, including social media, video streaming like YouTube, and gaming. According to an analysis from sociologists Paul Dupe and Brooklyn Walker, Gen Z men are more likely than Gen Z women to 1. Support Christian nationalism, 2. Espouse apocalypticism, which I think means it's all going to be the end of the world, 3. Be familiar with ideas such as repealing women's right to vote. That's a big fringe thing going on in America at the moment with some really influential people, including the Minister for Defence or the Secretary for Defence getting involved in that. You wouldn't have thought we would be back here at should the 19th Amendment be a thing. It's not, it's like 100 years later. And view themselves as victims of modern culture. But if you're spending 7 hours a day looking at this stuff designed to indoctrinate, you will. It's like self-assembly Clockwork Orange. If the government mandated that many hours watching propaganda, it would be an authoritarian government, and no one would want to do it. But we're doing it to ourselves. A recent British survey entitled The Quiet Revival, commissioned by the Bible Society and conducted by YouGov, shows that church attendance in England and Wales has actually increased by 50% over the last 6 years, and that young people aged 18 to 24 are the second largest demographic in attendance, behind those who are 65 and older. The trend is especially strong with young men, with 21% aged 18 to 24 saying they attend church at least once a month, compared with 12% of young women. Now, if this was a personal faith or a connection with a local faith-based community, that might be seen as a positive thing. But it seems to correlate with manosphere influencers like Jordan Peterson, Russell Brand, and others marshalling young men into Christianity. All the better to control you with. And now Tristan Tate is a devout Christian. That's good news. What a come to Jesus moment for him. Christian Tate is Andrew Tate's brother. Both brothers are currently charged with a shopping list of horrendous crimes, including human trafficking. Obviously, they deny them all. This goes hand in hand with deep misogyny, anti-abortion rhetoric, and homophobia. All things we are exploring in this series, The Road to Gilead, with the Guilty Feminist. While Reform are ahead in the polls, we must assume we are on the road to Gilead or something like it, and fight, fight, fight. But we also must learn to persuade, to upskill, to figure out what they know about System 1 and System 2 thinking. These, as some of you will know, are two modes of cognitive processing described by psychologist Daniel Kahneman. System 1 is fast, intuitive, and automatic, while System 2 is slow, deliberate, and requires conscious effort. System 1 handles routine tasks and is prone to emotional and intuitive biases, while System 2 is used for complex, problem solving, and logical analysis. The far right mostly uses system one thinking in their communication. Quick, emotional, sound bites, appealing to fear and scarcity and nostalgia. Make America great again, take back control. The left tends to use system two. Well, let's think about this. Running a society is a difficult problem. It'll never be perfect, etc., as the minister said. At the moment, we are pursuing a policy. I can't really answer that at the moment without seeing the research. What we are seeing with Mamdani, the New York mayoral candidate, who I hope will very soon be mayor of New York, he is using system one, but with substance and kindness. Whatever he's asked, he's saying over and over again, free childcare, free public transport, rent freezes. I saw him interviewed, and he had to do a speed round, and he clearly didn't know what the questions were. So he didn't sound like a politician. That's the thing. I think most left-wing politicians would sound like a politician, not wanting to kind of overpromise or say anything really. And I thought it's really interesting how much he's using system one. So he was asked to finish sentences, like the interviewer would say, I'm a democratic socialist because, and he answered, I believe in the dignity of all people. A reason conservatives are welcome in my Democratic Party is because they also have to pay rent. The biggest challenge facing America is, and he thought, and then he said, a belief that politics can be more than this. The biggest challenge facing New York, that we can actually have a city that New Yorkers can afford. He has a sense of humour and he isn't afraid to be human. I'm the Democratic nominee for New York because I beat Andrew Cuomo by 13 points. We need more analysis of this, especially if he wins. Let's hope it's not rigged. We need more funding. We need to become amazing at making videos and manipulating algorithms. We need to fight fire with bigger, better fires. We need to get more system one. That doesn't mean our policies and long-term strategies get to be lazy and unnuanced. It means our messaging needs to be refined and excellent and emotive in the right way. We are so smart outside. I bet there are so many people in this audience who have skills that are relevant. Anyone got a feminist job? Anyone think they've got a feminist job? Give us a cheer. Yes, what's your job?
I'm a pharmacist, so occasionally I give out the morning after pill.
Excellent. You will be so necessary. You may be so necessary. If we lose some of our rights to abortion, please be stockpiling those. I would suggest you steal a lot now before they take it away. Yeah. Just start every day, just take one packet and put it in a bunker. We won't say your name or which chemist you want to work for because we obviously don't want to get you fired. You're our only source of plan B for the whole revolution. But we've got collective skills. So on the 17th of January, we're actually going to do an open space day where we come together with ideas, with problems, break off into groups, have thinks about things, probably find partners in crime to kind of, think things through and get little grassroots movements going, to inspire ourselves, to energize ourselves, to see that there are other people who are in this fight with us. Christian nationalism is on the rise. It's really, really scary, but also it makes our jobs as feminists very clear. We have a purpose, we have a metric for success, and we now are in a position where we just have to stop bickering and saying, well, you said the wrong word, well, I don't like you, well, you once did something problematic. There's no time for that now. We are coming up to an election. We've got 3.5 years. We've got to keep reform out. I've heard people saying, well, they're just gonna get in and then people will see how bad it is. Please don't do that. Please don't think like that. Look at the United States of America. Trump is now building a sort of North Korea-style fortress palace, and he's saying he's not going. So please don't think, oh, it'll just be a couple of years and it's not really going to be that bad. It very likely will be because reform's got the American playbook and the precedent is set so they can go much faster. And look how fast Trump is going. He's not even been in power a year. So now is the time. And the other night I said something, I nearly didn't say it, because I thought, does it sound a bit defeatist? But a few people messaged me and said that was the biggest thing I took away. So I'm going to say that again tonight, and I might say it at every show. We might lose. We might. And if we do, we are going to need a very well-connected, extremely organised community, nay army of resistors. It will be too late to start going, oh, hold on, what do we do now? So if we lose, we will need what we're doing now more. So there is no wasted work here. There is only a time of connection, a time of purpose, a time of coming together. Stop worrying about like, oh, how do I find my personal joy? Through purpose, through connection. That is the only way. If we're pulling together, we're creating networks, we're creating communities, we're creating armies. And this Road to Gilead that I'm doing, that won't be right for everyone. Some people already, I know, will go, oh, but I don't like it because of this. That's okay. This isn't for this is for the absolute most amount of people who respond to this, who are magnetically drawn to this. There's a lot of people already magnetically drawn to it. If this isn't your thing, start another thing and let's do it in coalition. You don't need to like this, but if you think, do you know what's wrong with that? Go and make the thing that corrects this and work in coalition, because this will work for a lot of people and your thing will work for a lot of other people. There's no one thing that's going to work for everybody, but we need lots of us in coalition working for the same goal, doing slightly different things, speaking slightly different languages, with slightly different thrusts, with slightly different angles, coming together. And I truly believe if we do that, we can win it. We absolutely can. So tonight is a second step in our effort to discover what it will take to turn around on the road to Gilead and be going the other way. Are you with me? Excellent. All right. So are we ready to start the show proper? Excellent. Then in that case, it remains only for me to introduce the incredible Alison Spittle.
Oh, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Do you know what? I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, that was rousing.
Were you roused?
Yeah.
Aroused or just roused?
Oh, a bit of both.
Excellent.
Bit of both.
That's what I was going for. This is The Guilty Feminist, the podcast in which we explore our noble goals as 21st century feminists and the hypocrisies and insecurities which undermine them. This is the second in the Road to Gilead series. I'm Deborah Frances-White. With me is Alison Spittle, and we are talking about the fight back for gender justice.
Yes, we're on the road to Gilead. Yeah.
That song sounds like we're happy about it.
Does it?
Yeah.
Wait, I'll try and do it like the John Lewis adverts. We're on the road to Gilead.
Yeah, that's better. That's
yeah,
more.
there we go. Perfect.
Do you think we could get next year's John Lewis Christmas advert? just a sort of totalitarian Christmas. What it's going to be like on the other side. It'll all be church services, no presents.
Yeah, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. That's what it would be for white supremacists.
Oh,
I know, it makes me so sad.
I know. I do want to say though, if you have
a white straight man Christmas, that's what I'm dreaming of.
Yeah, it's a somebody's found that very funny. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do want to say if you have a faith, this is not an anti-faith space. In fact, next episode, which is on the 10th, we have a vicar, we have the Reverend from St James's Church Piccadilly, and we also have Praxis, and they deal with migrants and human rights, and they actually were started by church people, and there's a monk working there. So we're looking at how we can get the church working with us, because a lot of church leaders recently signed a letter against Christian nationalism, saying our churches won't be co-opted by that. I'm a bit worried about our churches being co-opted by that. So
yeah,
we need to. I'm not a religious person, but I need to get into coalition with churches for sure.
No, my idea of churches in England is like jam and stuff, you know.
Oh, it's
like
a very
nice
cake-based faith.
Yeah, that's it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Catholicism is like that too. We got holy bread.
It's not the same.
I would love to see that on Bake Off. Where they're like, you need to make the body of Christ.
It's the
technical challenge. We need to get you ordained first.
I saw something the other day about a little boy who was, you know, when they go to classes to learn before they have their first communion, before they're confirmed.
Oh, yes, I do, yeah.
And do you know what he asked?
What did
he was Catholic, and he went, how many wafers do I have to have before I've eaten a whole Jesus?
Yeah.
It's a good question. Do you think you've eaten a whole Jesus in your time?
I've definitely had a half, I'd say. I'll try half and then see how I go. Then I'll have a whole Christ. Yeah, I've eaten a lot. They're good stuff. It is good stuff.
They weren't where I
It is.
grew up. They were just like these. It was like cardboard.
Yeah, but I kind of like that. It was free. I like anything that's free. If you give me a free, you go through a market.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, free sample. I'm like, those are the tastiest morsels. And as well as that, being a fat person in the market, I do feel very wanted, because they're like, popcorn chicken. I'm like, yes. It's beautiful.
It would be great if all food turned into something else, wouldn't it? Like, the
Yeah.
wafers turned into Jesus, but what if popcorn chicken turned into a dragon or something like that? Do you know what I mean? Like another mythical creature.
Paul Hollywood. This bread turns
Just
into
like
Paul Hollywood.
Just like
And you get the Hollywood
marshmallow.
handshake, which is similar to the love of Christ. It's just as rare.
So when
Yeah.
when the vicar and the other religious people
Yeah.
come, you're not on that night.
No, I wasn't booked, and I wonder why.
No, it's just not safe.
No matter.
I want them to like me and come back again. and on that basis, would you like to hear some stand-up comedy from Alison Spittle?
Hey.
Please welcome to the stage the incredible Alison Spittle.
Hello. Hey. How you doing? So I've been getting into being fat recently. I've been fat since I was 8 years old, but now I'm doing the reading. I'm doing stuff like I'm reading Fat as a Feminist Issue. Yeah, I'm going to fat liberation meetings. You might be curious, so Alison, what do you speak about at fat liberation meetings? What do you speak about? We speak about Lizzo. And we're keeping a close eye. She's lost quite a lot of weight recently. I can't have another Adele. I can't. I remember where I was when Adele lost weight. Genuinely. I remember opening up Instagram in my garden going, no! You were supposed to be fat for us all! That was my September the 11th. Everything changed. And the weird thing is just I have lost weight recently. I don't like saying how much weight I've lost because I think it's gauche. But I will tell you in itemized form. So I've lost the same amount of weight as an XL bully weighs or an orchestra harp. I've given you the two different items there. Depending on which class you're from, you're able to visualize it there. I cater to all. And my mum brought me to this. My mum brought me to Slimming World when I was a kid. I've never willfully lost weight since I was about 8 years old. My mum brought me to Slimming World, and Slimming World, if you don't know, it's a lot like Weight Watchers, except they have these special rules. One of the rules is a thing called sin points, right? Some foods have sins in them, some foods don't. So lettuce would have 0 sin points, a donut would have 5, and you're only allowed 15 sin points a day. And it's a very simplistic way of teaching people about nutrition, giving them real life scenarios to enact them in, right? That's what they say. But I remember the first day I went into Slimming World, they were teaching us about goose. And I love that, because this is in an Irish council say, where the hell did they think that we were going to experience goose? Like if I woke up and there was a time machine at the end of my bed, I'd crawl through it. And then I wake up as like a Victorian factory owner. And I open up the window and I'm like, you boy, what day is it? Why, it's weighing day, sir. Get me a goose. So cooked goose, 5 sin points, right? Cooked goose, 5 sin points. Raw goose, 3. When are you ever going to have to make that choice? Like, let's make up a scenario right now, a real life one that you can enact it in, right? You're driving home. It's been a shit day. You can see that there's a penguin bar on the passenger seat of the car. You know that penguin bar has been there for at least 2 weeks. You know that at least 5 different people have sat in that penguin bar that time. The texture has changed. Maybe the rules have as well, right? You eat that penguin bar, you know deep down, baby, the rules are the same. The rules are the same. But you get home and you open up that fridge door, and there it is, that raw goose staring back at you. And you don't have the points to cook it. And you say to yourself, I will not let the day get away from me. I will not let it. And you unhinge your jaw and you eat that raw goose, right? No, not for me. Another scenario where things get a bit messy within the Slimming World community is bananas. Yeah, so a whole banana, 0 sin points. And you're like, yeah, it's a whole banana. Why would it be sinful? It's good for you. It's got potassium in it. It's a fruit. What's wrong with a banana? Mashed banana, 3 sin points. How? Let's consider for a second the process of eating the banana. You have to mash that banana between your teeth. I grew up Catholic. I know all about transubstantiation. I know that shit changes when it hits the mouth. That's my belief system. But are you telling me the only way that I can have a sinless banana is if I just... hold the whole banana and I just peel back the banana and I'm like, I will not let the day get away from me. And you, not for me, not for me. That's my stand-up. Have a great night.
Alison Spittle, everybody. Our guest today has over 10 years of experience working in policy and advocacy on women's and LGBTQI+ rights. At Amnesty, her focus is on issues of bodily autonomy, including abortion, the rights of trans people, and sex workers. Previously, she has worked on women's economic rights at Womankind Worldwide and Christian Aid. She has been part of expert groups lobbying for women's rights at the UN and has been published on women's rights in various peer-reviewed journals. She is Amnesty's Gender Justice Programme Director. Please welcome Chiara Capraro. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute delight. We've worked together before. We've made a video where I was dressed up like a 1950s housewife with a basket of laundry, which then I dramatically threw out of shot.
Yeah.
Some people, yes.
It was a lot of effort to make it right.
Yeah. Some people said it's the finest thing I've ever done, and then gave a lot of facts about where we are that were not unalarming.
What did the laundry hit? When you said dramatically, I was like, oh, cool, an anecdote, workplace injury.
I mean, I think it hit an Amnesty volunteer who had to catch it.
Yes. Once I got sick on a person by accident whilst filming something.
Did you?
I was supposed to be sick in a TV show, and they gave me soup and apple juice to swish in my mouth and then vomit. But unfortunately, the texture didn't hit me right. And I actually vomited on a cameraman.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he got the shot though, so.
He must have been thrilled to get real vomit.
Yeah.
That must have been wonderful for him. He must have thought all his Christmases had come at once.
Really? Okay.
I would think, because he's thinking, I've got my moment here. Anyway, Chiara, normally you probably give interviews at conferences where everyone's incredibly serious and talking about human rights only and not about vomit.
Human vomit only, baby. The right.
So firstly, we want to ask you, Amnesty International, Amnesty UK, you talk, when I ask you about this, you talked about anti-rights actors, and that sounds to me like MAGA movie stars, but that's not what it means, is it? What are anti-rights actors?
Yeah, so what we mean by that is we mean, series of individuals and groups, like state and non-state actors. It could be individuals. A lot of them are charities or civil society organizations.
I like the term shower of shite as a term to describe them. You don't have to agree with me. I'm saying that.
She's not allowed to agree with you. She's here in official
I
capacity
know.
for Amnesty.
Absolute scutter.
Do
That's what I would say.
do you have a question, Alison?
Yeah, sorry. I do, yeah. Do you like my term? No. So come here. Like, why did Amnesty UK decide to investigate anti rights actors? And what did you find?
Yeah, so this started from, the first Trump presidency, really, when we saw a lot of money around 2017 coming into Europe. And
so this is from America, from the American presidency, 2017.
So the first Trump.
Yeah.
And then also a lot of money going into Ireland to try and kind of make the referendum on repealing the
eighth, yeah.
To make it fail, essentially.
America kind of seen Ireland as like a little experiment for them to do because we had to do like a public voted referendum about abortion rights. So there was so much money going into this institute called the Iona Institute, and they got these people to be media trained, and it was incredible because, like, as the person who was fighting for abortion in Ireland, you were doing like homemade signs and stuff like that, and you were fighting against people who were very slick and had incredible I tell you what, they are bastards, but they had great graphic design, do you know? And hair gel. They spent a lot on hair gel.
But that's what I'm saying. We got to get it together. Although I do think sometimes grassroots impresses people more than slick science, because guess who won? Repeal the 8th.
Yes.
You did, baby.
Yes.
We did. So go on, Chiara.
Yeah. So and then since 2018, we've seen like the state of trans rights in the UK also plummeting. A lot of opposition, anti-trans campaigners. And so we were like, okay, like what's going on? Can we take a step back and really look into like who these people are and what they're up to? So we went and looked at 75 organizations or groups, however you want to call them.
And these are like kind of think tank groups, aren't they?
Well, yeah, some are think tanks, some are, churches, some are kind of like community-based groups, some are crisis pregnancy centers, some are like legal outfits, some are like very big, like Alliance for Defending Freedom, some are like small, so it's really like a variety of them.
There are a lot of people who go on like 24-hour news TV to chat shit. Like, yeah, you don't have to say that. You didn't nod or do anything.
Okay, so those people, you went, hold on a minute, there's all of this money coming in that's anti-trans rights, that's anti-abortion in Ireland. What's going on? And then what did you find?
Yeah, so out of these, basically almost half were formed in the last 10 years. So it really gave us an idea that, like things are kind of like ramping up. And then we went and looked at like how they're registered. And like 3/4 are registered as company or charities, which is extremely worrying because first they have to be approved by the Charity Commission in terms of having like charitable aims. And some of their aims are not very charitable, but also they can apply for government funding or like national lottery funding. So they
National lottery funding?
Yes.
It could be you who misses out on all your rights. Wow. Great. Thanks, National Lottery.
Yes.
We got to complain about that.
Yeah, so we found that, for example, a few of the crisis pregnancy centers got national lottery grants.
Are these the crisis pregnancy centres that are similar to ones in Ireland, which were like fake crisis pregnancy centres that basically made women and pregnant people like take away their time, so they'd have to
and convince them to not have a termination even though they've
with a couple of baby grows and stuff like that. It was really shit convincing. Like it was just basically like, here, have this baby, here's some formula. Here's about 40 quid worth of stuff. The other, it's a disgrace.
Awful.
Yeah, it's exactly that. That stuff.
And they were charitable.
Some of them are registered as charities, which kind of like opens up, a number of questions on like what does the Charity Commission do. But anyways, then we went and looked at we were able to look at the finances of around half of this organization because some of them don't file accounts, or if they are informal, they don't need to file accounts. And overall, we found that they spent £106 million between 2019 and 2023, which was an increase of like over a third. And then you have some, we're talking about Alliance for Defending Freedom, for example. They established like a branch in the UK in 2015.
And the Alliance for Defending Freedom.
Yes.
They sound great.
Well,
what kind of freedom are they defending?
exactly.
Not your freedom.
No.
Yes, so they are, they are global, as Deborah was saying, but they started investing more and more money in Europe and now in the UK. And in that period of time, their expenditure went up by 187%. So kind of like double year on year. And then we found that, across all these categories of organization, their spending increased. So for example, organizations that promote conversion therapy, they were only like 2 million out of the 106 million, but their expenditure went up 165%.
Isn't that illegal here, though?
It's not illegal yet. So
It's not illegal.
No,
Conversion therapy is not illegal.
No, it's not.
And it's still not going to be made illegal for trans people, is it?
Well, I mean, we've been waiting. This, like, a number of governments have said that they were going to make it illegal, so to ban it since 2018, I think, and we're still waiting. Yes, I mean, 106 million is quite a lot.
It's loads.
Yeah.
Like, I'd enter the Omaze draw if I could win that.
Yeah, it's a lot of
That was
money.
a shitty analogy. I don't know what the I just really am interested in the Omaze draw at the moment. And tramway. What if I set up my own charity that's like freedom to fuck around, and then I secretly pay for abortions with it or something?
Well, I don't know what the National Lottery will and won't give money for, but it's a really interesting one. Presumably the National Lottery is also funding people who are looking after women who need abortions and other pregnant people, surely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is a real ignorance on like what these crisis pregnancy centers are, because, for example, some got money during COVID. There was a government fund about, to keep open like essential services. And some of these got that money, and it means that, there is ignorance about what kind of services they're providing. And often they are quite, they don't kind of show it to your face.
So while we don't know all the money, like Neil Datta, who's the head of the European Forum for Reproductive Rights, he says he can trace $78 million coming into Europe in the last decade or so to be specifically to campaign against trans people. But he said the number is a lot bigger than that, but we can't trace it all. Can I ask, how do anti-rights groups work? And this is really key, we've got to listen to this part, what makes them successful? What makes them successful?
Yeah, I mean, so the first thing is that they are a global movement, right? In the same way that we are a global feminist movement and human rights movement. They are like the dark side. And they, they're smart. Like, they work globally, they collaborate. But
do you think they're better at collaborating than we are?
I think that I think that they kind of, see what flies in each context. So, for example, if you look at like even ADF or other US organizations that campaign in Africa, like against LGBTI rights, they're kind of like context-specific messages. LGBT rights are an imposition from the West, and so they're not part of our culture. We need to get rid of them. But at the end of the day, it's the same message that you have in the US. It's just they're good at like tailoring to, where they are and what the audience could be.
So they find out what's the cultural local norm and how do they get in. So like, how are they getting in at the moment with abortion in the UK? Because abortion is like a settled matter here. We've in fact just decriminalised it. How are they managing at the moment? Where's their wedge? Where are they getting in?
Yeah, so I think it's a couple of things. So from an abortion perspective, I think that, we are seeing a constituency of like ideological anti-choice people joining Reform, which, for example, like there's an MP called Danny Kruger who just defected from the Conservatives to Reform. We have other like former MPs who are anti-choice joining Reform.
And I think by anti-choice, I want to say anti-abortion. I feel it's important that we do say they're anti-abortion, that's what they are. Because choice is such a soft word, and I feel like, they're not pro-life. That's true. That's for sure.
Absolutely
not. Go on.
Yeah, so I think that they're creating like space for themselves there, and then you have a situation where you have Nigel Farage kind of like starting to make some comments, questions around like abortion time limits. Nothing that is like too out there, right? Mm-hmm. Because they know it's not gonna fly in our context. You can't just come and like, oh, let's ban abortion. It's not the US.
So they chip away. They start with, he's saying now the week's absolutely ludicrous, the week limit. I'm pro-choice, but the week limit's absolutely.
Yeah,
this is what they did in America. Lower the weeks until it's 12 weeks, 10 weeks, 6 weeks, no weeks. And or they did things like in Texas, they took away all the abortion clinics. So yeah, you can legally have one, but where are you going to get it? So they're doing that kind of thing. There's also a free speech issue that they're using that as a wedge. Could you explain that?
Yeah, so as I said, the ADF, their kind of niche that they have created for themselves is to defend individuals who have been charged with breaching safe access zones around abortion clinics. So now in England, you have like a 150 meters perimeter where any type of campaigning or praying is not allowed. And some individuals have been charged for breaching this condition. And they very publicly, take on these cases, pay all the legal expenses. I think it was in the summer that, J.D. Vance made a specific reference to one of these individuals that was being supported by ADF, which is absolutely wild that the US vice president is so interested in like a legal case in the UK. So the whole free speech is like a good entry point for them because I think it's quite like sanitized.
And they're saying freedom to pray. Like, why can't you pray outside an abortion clinic? All I'm doing. But I think some of them are set up to get arrested so that they can make this sort of big free speech, freedom of religion thing.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And what are they doing on Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, I think social media is a massive part of this, right? So this is like slightly kind of adjacent, but Amnesty has done research on like the role of Twitter in the racist riots last year. And we're looking at like how the algorithm works. And the algorithm, like what they put forward is content that kind of leads to more interactions, like kind of conversation type content, but without looking at the substance. So the substance could be, lies and disinformation, and it still gets amplified. And then you have these like verified, paid for accounts that can also kind of like act as amplifiers. So when you have, like Elon Musk tweeting about something, it's not just like a normal person tweeting. And so that the algorithm keeps pushing this out without any like safeguard or moderation. So things can become like incendiary like pretty quickly. And then I think another thing too, which I think, is interesting that we're seeing is that there are some of these activists who are basically influencers. So they make money out of being, anti-abortion and pushing this kind of like views. And it kind of feels like, oh, it's organic, like people are talking about it, like people are getting...
But they're being paid to talk about it.
Yeah, it is, they're grifters. So for them, it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to pay my rent like this now. Yeah. So I think that knowing about all these mechanisms is really important because sometimes we're like, oh my God, everything is popping on Twitter, and but it's not necessarily organic.
But I feel like these people are like so focused on abortion and trans rights, and like it scares me because like, why do you think it's dangerous for us all? Because, there are some people that don't feel that they don't have to worry about that because they're not trans or they can't have children.
Yeah, they're not they don't think they're ever going to need an abortion or know anyone who's going to want one. So they think, oh, that's not about me.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, like human rights are universal and interdependent. So what they're doing is they're chipping away at this concept of universalities and the protection, which means that, you can make some rights, like the right to abortion, a moral issue. So that can be discussed and, people can have opinions about it. Or you can cast people, like, trans people, especially in these countries, like other, as like lesser deserving of rights. And kind of like when you open that door and make that acceptable in society, it's kind of like you can chip away more and more and more. And I think that if you're not directly affected, and if you don't know about how these people are operating, it feels very far away. And I think, our generation like we've grown up with these rights like as a given, right? Like right to abortion, even though it's not always accessible, but sort of like, you know, women being able to go out and have jobs and being independent economically.
Having the vote.
Having the vote,
We don't even think about it.
So yeah, we don't think about it. So we're kind of like a bit naive, I guess, because we're like, oh, it's not, you know, it can't happen here. But it could happen, and that's why we need to be very alert. And you see they do a lot of that at the UN, so they are very, very active in UN corridors trying to lobby member state to water down protection. So every year, like at the UN, is a fight to keep the language that on women's rights that was agreed, like in the years prior. And
every year there's a fight about it.
Yeah, it's
they want to get rid of it.
Yeah, they're trying to chip away at it, right?
Who at the UN is doing that?
No,
Countries.
I mean, ADF is doing that. There are other...
what are the ADF doing at the UN? Just hanging around, trying to take our rights?
Yeah,
how are they allowed to hang around at the UN?
Well, you know, as Amnesty would do, we go and lobby and do advocacy, right?
Oh, I see.
So it's the same.
They're lobbying.
It's the same thing. They're registered as a civil society organization.
So you're like the Sharks and the Jets.
Yeah, exactly.
When you see the ADF, do you start clicking? They see you and they're like, oh, we know your sort. Oh, it's Chiara. She's here to undo all our good work. Can I ask you about the trans bathroom ban they're trying to get in here, which means trans people will be able to use neither bathroom? Surely everyone understands that's untenable. That means trans people have to stay home because there's nowhere to pee. Like, unless they fully know that that venue has a third space, they're not going to be able to go out if this goes through. And they're not taking a vote on it. They're just pushing it through onto the radar. What can we do about that? Yeah,
so I think what can we do right now is really raise the issue with your MP, because we know that, like businesses have written to MPs, and this is something that MPs have raised, that it can be an issue for a business to kind of like adapt their layout or like whatever. So kind of writing to your MP is the usual thing that we say, but actually it does work. But I think this thing about, trans rights in this country is really interesting, because if you think about how the environment around trans people has degraded over the past few years. Like, leaving aside the Supreme Court judgment, if you think about it, like Parliament never voted on anything related to trans rights for the past 7 years. But regardless of that, the situation for trans people is abysmal. So sometimes I feel like the cultural realm is very important in these issues. You have, changing the law and bringing legal cases, and then opportunities like elections. But sometimes the law doesn't need to change.
Right.
It's just the climate that needs to change, and that prepares like the terrain for further changes, which I think is what the anti-abortion lot here are doing, because
they're changing the climate, because once the climate changes, they can change the laws, and we've seen that. So are trans people, have they used trans people as the canary in the coal mine, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these organizations work, many things. So you have like, Christian Concern, which is like a legal strategic litigation outfit. They're anti-abortion, they're anti-LGBTI rights, they're anti assisted dying. Anything that has to do with like people's bodies or choices over our own bodies, they don't like. So I think that in the UK specifically, trans people are definitely like a massive wedge issue. And we are where we are with the Supreme Court judgment, and it's something that, when I started working for Amnesty in 2018, never I would have thought that this is where we got to, like 7 years later. Is a very, very short period of time.
Are you quite shocked about how fast it's gone?
Yeah, I'm shocked because, I'm from Italy, and I've heard this kind of rhetoric, like growing up, especially in schools, right, that you can't have sex education in schools. But then here I thought like, okay, these are exactly the same arguments, but it's just happened like in the span of 5 years. And I think that's really concerning. And that's why I think looking at the money is really important, because it doesn't happen by itself.
So how do you see the influence of ultra-conservative Christian groups manifesting in the United Kingdom?
Yeah, so as I said, like, I think what's happening with the reform is really something to keep an eye on. Like this guy, James Orr, who is a theologian, anti-abortion in any circumstance.
Oh my God, yeah. Have you heard about this?
Yeah,
That Nigel Farage taken on a new senior advisor, Professor James Orr. He's a Cambridge theological divinity don, and now as a senior advisor, he doesn't agree with abortion for any reason. You could be 10 years old. He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't want that. And he's also called refugees invaders. It's really bleak. And they're showing their faces more now. Like this, when I was writing this book, 6 Conversations We're Scared to Have, which is, which is, if you, so that person's read it. If you haven't read it, you could read it, but you would firstly have to buy it, or borrow it at least. I was reading about Christian nationalists, and I was researching, and I was finding out about it. I was interviewing people, and I thought, my God, no one's going to believe me, because they're not showing their faces. This is all money, and it's all hidden. And then by the time the book went to bed, it was a lot more plausible because we had Project 2025. Now, this book's only been out a couple of months. I really thought people were going to go, really? They're showing their faces now. Like James Orr. There's also the MP that's joined Reform from the Tories, who's
Danny Kruger.
Yeah, Danny Kruger, because
son of Prue Leaf.
I know.
A bit of a bake-off full circle there.
Who would be?
I know.
Would have thought. Yeah, that guy. I mean, I never heard about James Orr, to be honest, until this year.
Me neither.
I had to look him up.
And I missed the days when I hadn't heard of James Orr.
Yeah.
I look back on those days as halcyon days. I was so happy.
Yeah.
I was skipping through a field in a gingham dress, just innocent and naive, not knowing at all that Professor James Orr was coming. Like, he is like, I mean, they are sort of creeping up like bad guys in movies now.
Yeah, but I think that
extreme.
We see a lot of money and actors coming from the US, but the UK is a different context, and I think we need to be clear about this. And I think here in this country, we hear less around the sort of like fate arguments around, family is a woman and a man that have to be married and have to have children. Here we're starting to hear more and more about, demographic winter and like cultural coherence, which is this idea that essentially we want to build a white Christian nation, but we're kind of taking it from another kind of entry point, which is racist and anti-migrant sentiment.
So cultural coherence is British for white supremacy. So when you hear cultural coherence, that's what you're hearing. That's interesting. And what was the other one that you said? Sorry, Alison.
Demographic winter. So that's
demographic winter. That's my colour scheme.
Wow, burgundy, beautiful.
I'm a demographic winter. I'm a deep winter, but it does sound like a colour chart. That sounds fine.
Yeah, so
it's not. It's
not.
What?
Well,
it's code for white supremacy, is it?
Yeah, it's basically code for excluding people of color from society with violent means if needed, and the fact that we need to have more white babies, and so we need to
it's
have
like more like Narnia winter, like always winter, never Christmas. It's more like that.
I mean.
Oh.
So this is like, I'm always weirded out by people who keep ringing into radio stations who are like, I'm sick of seeing mixed race families in advertisements and stuff. I feel like that conversation comes up a lot, or there's very kind of like not softball, but like this weird kind of thing where people are becoming a bit more open about their racism. Like, has this got anything to do with that? Because I feel like there's a lot more people ringing in, or there's a lot more people on Question Time that are becoming a lot more open about that. And is there anything? And where is the money for the flags coming from? Like, genuinely,
a lot of flags.
I know Reform Reform had a council in Nottingham, and they spent a load of money on flags. But like, these little things that we see, I do think does that come from the money that's being pumped in, or like?
Well, I mean, I don't know exactly where the money comes from, but as Deborah was saying, the New York Times have documented like close link between Farage and ADF. Yeah, and I think it's about what they're good at doing is this sort of like laundering their language. So you have something like, I don't know, that Tommy Robinson might say, like extremely outrageous. Yeah. And then you have sort of like kind of more polite version of that.
Like Keir Starmer saying A Nation of Strangers.
Yeah, exactly. And then kind of, ends up in the mainstream conversation. But I think all of these are codes. It's almost like you need to learn a new language. Like when you hear demographic winter, my mind is such you know?
Yeah.
Like rings a bell, or when you hear whatever, Islands of Strange, or when you hear, but, what about time limits? Maybe we need to think about them, rethink about them. It's just like, okay, these are like codes to kind of start planting this seed.
Because in Ireland, like, we have people setting fire to IPAS centres and stuff. Like, we have actual attempted murder happening now under the
What's an IPAS centre?
IPAS centre is like, so it's a hotel that has refugees and immigrants in it.
God.
And
we've had some fires
that happened
here
this
as well.
week.
Wow.
And it's kind of like, but what can we, like, I feel really powerless when stuff like this happens, because I see it's all connected, like the money that's being pumped in, and then like the not even the discourse anymore. To call it discourse is like, I feel like it's unfair. Like, I feel like it's not giving it its actual power. Like, I think it's bigger than discourse, and I'm really afraid. And like, what can we do? Like, I want to know what to do.
Yeah.
Because I'm not on Twitter anymore. Like,
yeah,
I felt like before tweeting into the
you.
abyss was like something where that felt like it was doing something, even though it wasn't. It was just taking my energy. But what can I do now?
But I think, there's so much happening in communities that people can get involved with. I think sometimes we think, oh my God, like, is a change in legislation, or the elections are coming. All of that is very true. But I don't think it makes you feel like you have the power to do very much. So I think getting involved with whatever happens, like, for example, I live in Hastings, and last year, people of color and refugees who live in the town were, afraid of basically going out, going to the shops, etc. And the scheme was started about, shopkeepers putting in their window, like, a poster that basically clearly said, "You're welcome." And so that kind of stuff is very small, but it is really important for people in their daily life. And I think we shouldn't underestimate how much you can connect with others while doing, volunteering, or just kind of like rocking up at community events. Like, there's so much going on, and I think we just need to kind of get out or get away from the phone and kind of like step into a room with people that you might not know.
This is what I'm
You're
thinking.
telling us to touch grass, basically.
Yeah,
I'm thinking this is why I'm
Touch
trying to
grass.
start community events, so we can get into rooms, talk, get inspired by each other, because the phone drains you. But when you get into a room for a community space, you're like, oh yeah, we could do that. Oh great. Well, I can make a video. So my brother edits stuff. Like, we get energy from that. I really recommend everyone join Amnesty. They're actually giving us a free space in central London on the 17th of January. We will try and have chapters around the country if people are happy to organise them and zoom in.
And we know where Amnesty are getting their money from.
Well,
I can send you the accounts.
Yeah.
so
as in, like, people can pay Amnesty and have,
and there are QR codes to donate to Amnesty tonight, because they're working with us and giving us free space and stuff. If anybody would like to join Amnesty or give by the QR code, we know it's cost of living crisis and you've paid to come tonight, so there's no obligation, but it would be massively appreciated. And if you can join Amnesty, it's great, because they give you actions all the time. Do we have any questions from the audience? Because Chiara is a big deal at Amnesty, and you've got her here. You can just ask her anything you want.
So my wife and I have 2 children, and they are in primary school, and the primary school where they are is brilliant, and we have Pride Month, and it's all, good. But we are also in a chat with other queer families around London, and they are saying that increasingly they cannot have Pride events because there's a big community, and they are saying that because of religion's freedom, they cannot allow Pride months or Pride events, and they are interposing religious freedom with prides. I don't know why. So is this connected also to what you're talking about?
Is this connected, Chiara, and what can we do?
Yeah, I mean, the realm of relationship and sex education and just like diversity in schools is one of their big interests of ADF and others. You have organizations like, Sex Matters, for example, that have all these like toolkits for parents to complain to your school if, they have a trans-inclusive policy or they want to do Pride. So I think, what they're good at doing is to kind of make things sound like organic. And I think that, it is part of their agenda. And again, it's about like having conversations, like, I don't know, like, where do these other parents hear these things from? Like, is it really like an issue, or is just kind of hyped? Because sometimes it's not necessarily something that a lot of people think, but then schools are risk averse, and then you go into like a scenario that's not.
But do we need to make toolkits, like Amnesty toolkits, for why our children should know about Pride? Because they know about heterosexual relationships, they know about wedding rings, they know about children coming from heterosexual. Why can't they know about that, sometimes two people of the same gender love each other?
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, that's also like in the relationship and sex education guidance that schools should follow. So it's not like that isn't there. It is contested, but it is there. And, if you're a teacher or know anyone who works in school, we have a big human rights education program. We work with teachers to support them to teach on LGBTI rights, but also to kind of like just being able to manage these issues and this environment at school.
So maybe get the toolkit that Amnesty's got and go in and do the same thing and say, here's the counter to that our children are being deprived. It's not like anybody's saying, oh, why don't we show the children a bunch of sexual positions? It's not about that. It's about love and possibilities and families looking different, which they do. It's no good hiding that from them, but also they can see that in their society.
I suppose like a thing though I'm worried about is like on the left, we're always like on the defense. We're like, it feels hard to like, it's like when someone brings up their religious freedom and like we were celebrating Pride for years in schools and then they bring this up and it's like our religious freedom, and then that feels hard. Like it feels like because they got the money and they're able to go on the offense. But I
think it's the only way to, if someone at the school has said, well, it's going to counteract with religious freedom, we need to argue why it doesn't, and we need to argue why that the freedom to be yourself is more important than anything. I think we need to think. It's sort of what I'm saying about System 1 and System 2. I think we need to start rethinking how we're arguing, how we're persuading, what we're doing. We need to look at what they're doing. We need to get together. We need to deconstruct it. We do need to find donors with money, but it needs to be grassroots. Like, I'm not going to like run an empire off that. I think we all need to be doing it and joining up our groups that do it. And whatever we do, we need to share our resources. Did you have another question, or does someone else have a question?
I did. Quickly. Whatever you were talking about, is there any connection with what's happening in Gaza right now?
Yeah, that's a big question. I think that, like, for me, it's about our reproductive autonomy, right? That's across the board. It's abortion, but it's not just that. It's, we talk about reproductive justice, the ability of people, of everyone to, decide if they want to have children or if they don't want to have children. And if they do, are they able to bring up their children, in safety,
freedom
and safety?
Are you asking like if the Americans are pumping money in here to kind of create a discourse, distract with what's going on in Gaza? Is that the question?
Maybe the reaction that the UK government is having on Gaza, and if there's any connection with this, right-wing wave from the US coming to the UK, and whether it's going also.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the UK is very implicated in the fact that they sell arms to Israel, and also like to, what's going on in Sudan now. The UK has a specific role in the sense that we're selling arms. But I think it's really about, whose bodies are valued and are afforded dignity and rights and whose are not. And I think that we need to make these connections across, just it is reproductive justice. It's not just abortion and work. We were talking about racism and migrant people who are prevented from having a family if they want to here because of immigration rules or not having access to public services. All of this is connected. And I think that, these actors also come with a very clear economic agenda, which is to slash public services. So all these things are not separate. They're very much connected. And the way that they have a sort of like a worldview or a project for the world that they want to see, we need to be much better at communicating what our project is, like across the board.
I think certainly the number of hours of horrific human rights abuses we've seen on our screens in Gaza does do something to diminish what internationally is acceptable. And they know that. They know that it's like, you know, if you're watching that, it's like, well, what else can happen to you wherever you are? So it's definitely all connected, I think. Can I just ask, did anyone else have a question first? Because we've got to finish up. Yeah. We got to finish up in a minute.
Yeah, I've been to like a number of counter protests, to far right protests in Oxford, like outside the hotel where asylum seekers are housed, and I feel like they're not really achieving. The only thing these demos are achieving is that there tend to be more of us than them, which I think is really good for the people in the hotels to see. But we're not going to be changing the mind of like the people on the far right, who mostly live, I think, on the estate right next to the hotel. So, yeah, like I guess my question is, I don't know. Do you think we should be trying to like talk to people on doorsteps, or like who should we kind of targeting in the electorate of like? In terms of trying to like stop reform getting in, I guess.
That's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah, I think our power is, we were talking about this the other night, the apolitical middle. There's lots of people who are just rushing from pillar to post. Everyone's in a cost of living crisis. And Jolyon Rubinstein the other night was on the show, and he said a lot of people have given up on democracy. They think, well, it's not going to change anything. And he said our biggest opponent isn't reform; it's all the people who don't vote. And we can galvanise them by saying, look what you're going to lose. Nigel Farage, we've got to make videos showing Nigel Farage saying we need to go to an American insurance model and disband the NHS. He says that with his mouth. We can make that video, and then we can cut it together with vox pops of Americans talking about how they can't afford their diabetes medication. If more people know what it's going to be, and I do think we have big power in our WhatsApp groups, our communities, the people who are on the school run with us, people who are in book groups with us. I really feel we can start conversations that are appealing, that are drawing people in, that aren't lecturing, that are asking questions, just leaving someone with a question where they're like, oh yeah, what about that? And not necessarily answering it. Like, I feel like we can do a lot in the next 3.5 years. But we've got to get strategic, because telling people off or lecturing people hasn't worked. It's not going to work. We need to upskill. And that's one of the things I wrote about in the book, not to plug my own book, but the last chapter is about exactly that kind of thing, like how do we persuade, how do we influence? But I want to upskill more and learn more than I put in the book.
But isn't it, like, I fully agree with you, but sometimes I just feel so annoyed that we have to put such a big effort into convincing people that human beings are worthwhile. But like, it makes me so sad.
It makes us all annoyed. And also, I think Frankie Boyle did a really funny post a while ago where he said, look, we're all busy and it's a drag, but there's going to have to be a revolution.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how I feel. I feel like we're all busy. I'd rather just be writing novels and plays now.
Yeah.
I want to do that. But it doesn't matter how much of a drag it is. When you look at people in Gaza who have literally no choice every day, there is just bombardment. All of their rights are gone. You can look at that and you can go, it's annoying that we have to do this, but do you know what? Life is inconvenient. Life is difficult. Life is annoying. We are some of the luckiest people in the world. And by virtue of the fact that we've got to the Pleasance today, and most of us have got a drink from the bar, and we've managed to get in here today, and we're connected to, podcasts and conversations about feminism, we are some of the luckiest people in the UK, even if we're overdrawn. We are, because we've got ideas, we've got books, we've got discussions, we
got hope. Like, we're here.
We've got hope, and that's evidenced by the fact that we're here. So we are the ones who have to do it. And we have got a lot to fight for, to hold on to. We have got so many privileges that were fought for by the women's in previous generations, including our vote. They didn't legislate for us until we could vote. They don't legislate for people who can't vote. There were no laws protecting women until we had to vote. So we owe it to those who came before us to fight to hold on to what they fought to win. They fought to win it. We've got it. We cannot let it go. that this is our opportunity. But I think it's going to be a really exciting 3.5 years because I'm going to get to know people to get better. I'm going to get to work on something I really believe in with people I don't even know yet who I'm going to love. And we're going to make something happen, and it's going to feel incredible when it happens. And as I said before, even if we don't win, my God, we're going to be an amazing resistance.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be organised, and we're going to be connected, and we're going to have skills. So I'm really excited about it.
Winning our rights will be better than any episode of Love Island. I feel. Let's put that on a t-shirt.
If we win,
Casa Amor with rights. You know?
If we win, it's going to feel better than watching the final of Celebrity Traitors with friends and snacks. People are looking at each other going, is it? Yes. Yes, it is. Can I just ask one very quick thing, because we've got to end. Is there a way, because I'm an Amnesty ambassador, don't mean to brag, and is there a way that we together could do a project about the bathroom ban? Because I think they've gone too far with that. And I think people got a bit like, oh, I don't know, don't want to get involved in trans rights, all seems very shouty, and people withdrew. I think they've gone too far. Like the way I think Nigel Farage has done us a favour by getting into bed with the ADF, because now people are like, what? I think they've gone too far with this bathroom ban. If we can do something with saying, but like a video where we get comedians going up to a loo and going, oh, there's nowhere for me to go.
Yeah,
could we
100%.
do a collab?
Yeah, I think that the government is feeling the heat a little bit, so it's a good time to
get them out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Alison, would you be involved in that?
Yeah.
If we did it with some cis comedians who were like,
absolutely.
If they were going to say comedians couldn't use any bathroom.
I think as well, like, be an ally in your day to day. Like, I have a friend, and like they didn't go to the toilet. We were walking towards the toilet, and then they went, "Oh wait," and I'm like, "Why?" And then like I remembered like what they have to go through. Like they have to do thoughts and stuff like. And I said to my friend, I will beat the shit out of anyone that questions you in the toilet. I know that's not good, but I would. Like the same way I give out compliments, I will give out fists. Sorry.
That is not a recommended strategy.
I know.
Recommended officially by the Guilty Feminist, just by the way.
Oh, just by me. If you start shit in the toilet, I will finish it. That's what I'll do.
You may want to rephrase that. But I was talking to a friend the other day.
Yeah.
And she's a lesbian married to a woman, but her partner looks quite butch. And she said now she won't go to the loo without her partner. She said, just come with me and talk so that I don't get challenged. She's a cisgender woman, but she was like, I won't, I just can't. She says, if you're not here, I won't go. I just don't go. I just hold it. That is not good for people. And also, what about when you can't hold it? And what about when you're,
UTIs. We should be, UTIs.
Menopause, when people just, have to go, or, after pregnancy, things like that. This is not okay. This is not okay what's happening. And so,
I'm sorry about saying the violence, Fig. That is just my opinion.
The views of Alison Spittle are not necessarily those of the Guilty Feminist podcast. No. But that's not okay. That she said, I feel like my wife is now like a child. Like she feels like a child. Like she has to be taken to the loo. And she's a grown woman, and she is not trans. So imagine how much worse it is if you're trans. Like, but it's not okay. We have to stop it.
We have to stop that culture. There's this kind of culture of like, oh, people are entitled to their opinions, whether it's religious or.
But if that code of conduct comes through, that culture becomes cemented in law.
Yeah.
They can legally do it. So we just have to do a campaign about it. And if you've got any way of doing your own campaign, I think we need lots of grassroots campaigns. It needs to be popping up here. Can you make a funny video? Can you make a video to camera? Can you draw a cartoon? What are you good at? Can you edit stuff together? Can you just make an interesting post? Can you put it in your WhatsApp groups?
Can you physically threaten people in a toilet?
No, that's not one of the things that we're doing.
Fair enough.
But can you ask people as if you've just heard about it? That's something I do. If you heard about this, what do you think about this? I think it's a bit odd. What do you think? And just sort of try and put it on the table rather than going, here's a 4-page pack. It's like sometimes asking the question to your friends in the pub who don't normally get involved in politics and get opinions on it and go, but where are they going to go? And like make them solve the problem. because the more people have heard about it not from the Daily Mail, the better it will be. Chiara, thank you so much for coming. Big round of applause for Chiara from Amnesty, everybody.
Hey.
And also for the incredible Alison Spittle.
Hello.
Alison, do you have anything to plug?
Oh, I'm plugging December 2nd until December 6th. I'm doing a show called Big. It's going to be at Soho Theatre. Used to be called Fat Bitch, R.I.P., but can't advertise it calling it Fat Bitch.
They wouldn't let you say that in Edinburgh,
No, so I asked if I could call it Fat Cunt, and they were like, no. So back to the drawing board, and now it's Big. And I'm going to be touring the UK in the New Year and Ireland as well. So
I'm coming to the Soho Theatre. What night am I coming?
Wednesday.
I'm coming Wednesday. So if you want to see me there and say hi in a bar, I'll be there on the Wednesday, but you can come any night.
That's very cool. Yeah, we could do like a Guilty Feminist meet up on the Wednesday.
Meet you in the bar. Which nights is it?
It's the second, so the Tuesday on Tuesday 2nd of December until Saturday 6th of December. Tickets are selling well, so
get in now.
Yeah,
I've
just
got my
wanted to say
ticket.
that.
I've smashed that.
Yeah.
Can I also tell you about our shows? 16th of November, we're at the Museum of Comedy. Jessica Fostekew is the co-host, and then we've got Baroness Barker, Liz Barker. She's amazing. She's a Lib Dem baroness. She's really good on how we can use democracy. She's an LGBTQ plus advocate. She's amazing. And Monica
She's an
Ferro.
amazing name as well, Baroness Barker. Sounds like a character out of Bluey. That's great.
Excellent. And Monica
I'm
Ferro,
sure
who's
she'd
also
be happy with me saying that.
human rights advocate. And then on the 23rd of November, we're at the Bill Murray with the New York Times journalist who broke that big story, but that is sold out. That's what we've got at the moment. But also, if you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, that really helps. And if you send like this episode to people, or there's one out this week that's with Neil Datta, really explains it all, unpacks it all. That would be a great one to send people. And just share those, and if the more you review individual podcasts, it goes up in the ratings. All of that sort of stuff helps. Follow us on Instagram, share content, all of that. I hate the word content, but you know what I mean. Anything you can do that way. And also, if you're doing anything, or you'd like to come along on January 17th, email us at gmail@guiltyfeminist.com, and you'll hear about that in due course, because we just need to get into rooms and make things happen. Thank you so much for coming along tonight. You've been absolutely lovely. Anything you came to say that you didn't get to say before I do the closing titles, Chiara? Last words?
No, I just think that we don't have any other choice but hope is a verb, not just as, something that we hope with our head. So I'm looking forward to what you're going to do in January. There's like so much that people can get stuck in, and please do.
Yes, please get involved. We just don't want to be in some horrible dystopian nightmare thinking we wish we had, when we could have, when it was going to be even exciting and fun to come together and do these things, and interesting and creative and igniting different parts of us, giving us purpose and hope and connection. We don't want to think we didn't do that. We just scrolled on Instagram sharing things into our own echo chamber. We don't want to do that. Let's get together. You have been listening to The Guilty Feminist with me, Deborah Frances-White, guest co-host Alison Spittle, and our very special guest, Chiara Capraro. The recording engineer was Chris Sharp. The Guilty Feminist theme tune was composed by Mark Hodge. The producer was Tom Zielinski for The Spontaneity Shop. Thanks to Gina Dicio, Zainab Mohammed, Georgia Tennant, Ned Sedgwick, and everyone at the Pleasance, as well as all of you for listening. For more information about this and other episodes, visit guiltyfeminist.com.